Hello and welcome to Damien Allen's Astrology and Tarot channel. And this is going to be looking at the planetary cycles for September 2021. Yes, entering into September 2021. If you like the video, then press the like button. And if you like the channel, then please subscribe to this channel. Now, let's get started, shall we, with September 2021. I'm recording this on the 26th of August, so stuff that's playing out right now is going to be still playing out in September the 1st, particularly with anything to do with overseas travel or overseas diplomacy with other countries. This is depicted by the South Node being in Sagittarius and squared by the Sun, which is at 9 degrees in Virgo on the 1st of September. Tricky period this. There's a lot kind of going along this month planetary wise, and the main zodiac signs that really like have the major parts are Virgo, Libra and Aquarius. And it's interesting because on the first, we're in that first decan of Virgo, but it's at 9 degrees, so it's about to go into the second decan, which will be at 10 degrees in Virgo. But the big news is Mars. Mars is at 21 degrees in Virgo. Virgo is a mutable sign, it's an earth sign. It, on the 1st of September, forms an opposition with Neptune, which is at 22 degrees in Pisces, and it's also trine in Pluto. Never forget Pluto. Pluto's been a little bit quiet, but all of a sudden this month it starts to really become quite prominent in the sky. It's been very dominated so far this year by Saturn and Uranus, the square aspect between them, and that's still the case. But what's happened this month is that we've got a lot of planets that are retrograde. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto and Chiron are all retrograde. So that always brings back a feeling of we've been here before, or the similar feelings that we got last time in September in 2020. So again, re-emphasizes that looking back or going internal when we've got retrogrades. Mercury is in Libra, and so is Venus. So if you're in a Venus profected year, fantastic for you. That's going to be really good. Although Venus is applying again a square to Pluto, so it might get a little bit more intense for those Venus profected year people. If you're in a Mars profected year, September is going to be a bit on a crazy side. It's going to be busy and lots going on and lots of things that are out of your control. That's what it will feel like. So I think that you know, if you're in a Sun profected year, it might be that this month has a lot to do with the health or health matters for you. If you're Jupiter profected year, then things are going kind of backwards, things are slowing down. Same for Saturn, slow down. It all picks up in October for you guys. If you're in a Mercury profected year, interesting month ahead for you, simply because Mercury is going to be slowing down and going retrograde towards the end of the month. It's going to be squaring Pluto. You know, but it's also going to be it's going to be trine in Jupiter, so some interesting times here. So this is the 1st of September where we start off with the moon in Cancer, so it'll be applying an opposition with Pluto, and it's obviously squaring Mercury on that day, and also will be squaring at some point later on Venus as well. So it's interesting because we start off with the moon in Cancer and we end with the moon in Cancer as well at the end of the month on the 30th. Okay, let's just start to move forward. I'm going to move to the 7th here. Interesting on the 7th that's taking place. Again, that Venus is squaring, separating square aspect with Pluto. We've got also a trine between Mars and Pluto that's taking place. But obviously that Mercury is opposing Chiron. And Chiron has been in Aries for some time, came off the back of being transiting through Pisces, the end of the cycle. And I always think on an individual level, people with Chiron in Aries, it's learning about the courage of your own convictions, the courage to go for it, to be almost spontaneous and to be confident in that. And from a collective point of view, I think this is the whole thing, is from a collective point of view, we're not feeling confident with our own abilities, our own courage, our own convictions. And with Mercury opposing that, that makes it even more tricky. That energy becomes much more tricky. So it's an interesting mix that's going on with that. Also, the 7th is just off the back of a new moon, which is going to be at 14 degrees in Virgo, and that sun is going to apply a trine to Uranus, which is in Taurus at 14 degrees. So stuff to do with the health sector, innovations coming forward because the Uranus factor, and a lot to do with money being pumped into the health sector, because the 2 houses that are activated in the natural zodiac are the 2nd and the 6th houses, 2 earth houses. So this is on a practical basis. So it's really kind of important time period, the 7th. I think the 6th, 7th and 8th, key dates astrologically, that's really kind of taking place here. You know, I noticed also that Mars is in aversion to Jupiter. So again, lots of money pumped in, but maybe not looking at the big picture. It's almost that fear, we've got to do this. You know, maybe it's to do with the vaccines, more money pumped in, let's get more vaccines, preparing for maybe the winter. But certainly there's innovations that's taking place, and a focus on the health sector in general in the news at that time. Okay, let's move even more forward. This is the 11th of September. So the sun is at 18 degrees in Virgo, and that's forming an opposition with the polarity of Neptune in Pisces, and that's quite a thing that's going to be introduced, because on the 20th we have the full moon in the polarity of Virgo and Pisces. So again, surrendering, sacrifice, those words become quite important here. And what's interesting about this particular period here is that Venus is now gone on the 11th into Scorpio, and it is detriment. It cannot function very well in Scorpio. So if you're in a Venus profected year, things are going to get a little bit tricky. If you're a Taurus or Scorpio, again, you know, by sun or ascendant, things might get a little bit tricky with other people, particularly in the way you're relating to them. You know, wires cross when you speak to them, stuff like that, because that Venus is going to oppose Uranus at some point. And on that day, the moon is in Scorpio as well. A lot going on here, a lot going on. This is on the 11th. I have to say the middle part of September is probably the better period than what we've got to come, but it's still kind of tricky energy that we're dealing with. That Mercury is coming to a square aspect, forming a square aspect to Pluto. You know, and that's going to be a big thing playing out at the last 10 days of September. We can see here Mars is 27 degrees. So it's coming to the end of its cycle in Virgo here, and it's just come off the back of trine in Pluto. I told you Pluto's a big player in this one. Pluto is about collective viruses. It's becoming more prominent. It's knocking out the energy of the square between Uranus and Saturn that's been the big players of 2021 astrologically. It is taking place. Okay, the next important day to look out for many of us is going to be the 20th. And the reason the 20th is so important is because it leads up to a full moon at 28 degrees in Pisces. So the polarity between Virgo and Pisces, as I was saying earlier on, becomes really kind of important. And this is a funny energy, lots of mutable energy here. Things change an awful lot. Neptune's kind of involved there, but here's the big news on the 20th as well, is that Mars is at 3 degrees in Libra, and Mars in Libra is detriment. So we've got Venus detriment in Scorpio, we've got Mars detriment in Libra. So if you're in a Mars perfected year, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, a couple of months coming up for you. And we can see there that Mercury is beginning to slow down because it's going to go into retrograde, and it's forming a square with that Pluto really coming up to the surface in that Capricorn, you know, let people looking at the traditional values. We're all going to be okay, but the collective anxiety is going to be great at this particular point, just as we're coming up to an autumn equinox, which I'll look at in a minute. So there's a lot kind of going on. Planets are not supporting each other, and Venus and Mars are the inner planets to deal with our relationships, human relationships. So that is going to be really kind of challenging. When you've got Mercury squaring Pluto, difficult. These last 10 days are challenging for us all. Love to bring good news, but hey, got to deal with the reality, haven't we? So here we go, September the 23rd, autumn equinox. Always a challenging time. I always find as an astrologer and tarot reader, I get more clients around these times than ever before during the solstices and the equinoxes, because the energetic shift can be kind of difficult pre and post the equinox or the solstice. This is an autumn equinox on the 23rd when the sun goes into Libra. It's forming a conjunction with Mars, which Mars is in detriment. The sun is in its fall. It's challenging on so many levels. You know, very, very difficult. We've got Mercury becomes stationary. It's about to go to retrograde at 24 degrees. It's at 24 degrees exactly on 23rd, squaring Pluto in Capricorn at 24 degrees. You can see that things are going on. And also Venus is at 14 degrees in Scorpio and opposing Uranus in Taurus, but exact at that 14-degree mark. So again, it's a real emphasis. Challenging. Jupiter's being a little bit quieter, though Mercury is trining Jupiter, but still, and that could be good if you're in a Jupiter perfected year. If you're in a Mercury perfected year, things get very, very heavy, very busy, very intense because of that aspect with Pluto that's really kind of challenging here. And very quickly, if we go right to the end of the month, we get on the 30th, we get the moon as we start on the 1st in Cancer. We get the challenge of the sun and Mars in conjunction, which are not functioning at all well. You know, and we get Venus in square with Jupiter. This is the heavy period. I think from in the northern hemisphere, it's a heavy period in the Western world because planets are not functioning, and I think that Pluto, that fear, really kind of rises up to the surface and causes quite a lot of problems. So it's a very difficult month. I think the middle part from the 10th to the 20th is the easiest. I think the first 10 days are very challenging, particularly with things overseas. I think the last 10 days of September are a bit challenging within the health sector, particularly with education and human relationships, people talking to each other. Diplomacy, that slightly goes out the window. We've got a possibility of something rising up to the surface that is challenging us, or somebody's going to challenge, or two countries going to challenge each other and cause kind of a lot of problems. I think if you've got the astrological signatures of Libra, Aries, Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, or Taurians, those are the signs of zodiac I think are going to be challenged the most in September. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you do like the channel, please subscribe to it and press the like button, and thank you very much for watching.